Sokurec here. And today we're going to talk about the Penniless Immigrant to $100 million house buying company. I'm excited to hear the story, and I even know some of it. So first, I want to talk to you guests here and welcome you to Leanne Riley's Real Estate Investing Made Simple Club. And here we do live interviews with experts and leaders like Andrey in real estate investing nationally. And I'm Leanne Riley, broker and real estate coach, and I lead the Encore investment team of realtors in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. And I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio in residential, multifamily, condo development, commercial, and vacation properties. And as a national coach and trainer, I help real estate investors get started or scale a portfolio with my proven profit formula coaching program. And today we're here with my Real Estate Investing Made Simple Club. And here we provide education and training. And that's why we have a speaker like Andrey. And so today's topic, again, we're going to hear about how he built his company, Homestead Road. And so now I'm going to introduce you, Andrey. He's my guest, Andrey Sokurec, and he is a partner with Alex at Homestead Road. You're the CEO, I believe. And he's the co-author of a best-selling book called Total Financial Awakening. And guess what? I got it right here. It's a pretty good book. We're going to talk about the book. And he's also an expert in the real estate community. And we're going to find out today how he grew from sweeping floors to over $100 million in real estate transactions. So I am so excited that you can join us today, Andrey.
Well, Leanne, it's my pleasure. I appreciate being right now as your guest here.
Okay, and first, I always share, how do I know you or how did I meet you? And I do this because real estate investing is about networking. And it was over 10 years ago, is the best I could remember, Andrey, at some real estate event that we met. And we discovered right away, way back then, that we are like-minded souls. And we've been friends ever since. And back then you were just beginning. I don't know, how long have you been at Homestead Road, or since you started it? How long?
Purchased my first flip in 2004.
So, okay. So, all right. And here's the thing. Andrey organized a mastermind many years back when a lot of people hadn't heard of a mastermind or coaching. And Andrey was involved, and I've been a coach for over 20 years. And he invited me to be there. And I was really honored. And I was part of his mastermind group for a few years because I'm a woman. And as I say, it was all the big boys in the real estate world. And I got to represent women on that panel of mastermind people. And I really appreciated that. And for years, actually, Andrey and I have collaborated on some coaching and training together over the years too. So welcome, welcome. And I got a question for you at first here. I read a quote from you recently, I think on a blog you wrote about your last year and COVID and that, and you said it was a year of perspective, how fragile and short life is, how tomorrow isn't promised, and why taking action now is the best thing we can do for ourselves. Say more about that.
Yeah, well, Leanne, first of all, it's my honor to be on your show, and you, a dear friend, and we have a lot of in common, like giving back, positive mental attitude, and both of us will love real estate. And I believe that real estate is the only tool that can give you a financial freedom and freedom of time. And financial freedom for me is when you don't need to work to support your lifestyle. And I realized that because when I came to this country, I didn't have any money. I could barely speak English. I'm still learning it, but it didn't stop me to do my first deal in real estate. However, I've been working so much as a loan officer. That was my first job because I didn't have, I could not sell to uh, people, to Americans. I took yellow book and found and searched for every name that seems like Russian. And then I called people, and if they start speaking English with me, I just hang up. And I, at that point, I didn't know about do not call list or anything like that. And I've been working so hard, and like also I've been working probably 60 to 70 hours a week. But when I learn about real estate, uh, I start realizing that there is a better way to do it, and we need to start. I need to start building like passive income. I cannot work every time, especially like we had a tragedy in our family. So my brother's 10 months old son, he passed away while he was sleeping. And at that moment, I had my first daughter. Now I have 3 kids. And I still remember I'm sitting in a coffee shop, and it was a Sunday. Like I'm thinking, well, like I cannot miss my kids um, doing all the work. I need to find a better way. And I saw as a loan officer so many people who like financially successful. However, they've been working so hard and they missed every basketball game of the kids, and time goes by and kids grown up. And what happens, like it's good if you have a successful business or a successful career, especially if in a big corporations. But what happens if you spend all your time thinking, chasing like a carrot at the end, and then there is no carrot? So you have your family, your relationship, bad relationship. You don't see your kids often. And for me, I realized that if you have a real estate and if you have passive income, you don't need to sacrifice your family, and you can do both. And that's what I describe like my personal journey in the book Total Financial Awakening that you showed. And basically step by step what I've done, and the blueprint what any person with no real estate background, they can be like can barely speak English like me, and didn't have any resources like financial resources. I didn't know any people. I could not borrow money. I was able to borrow money at 44%. That was my first deal of
Ooh,
my loan.
ouch.
Yeah, I could not get cheaper because it was 2010. But step-by-step process. And I believe like what anyone, like if someone's watching and working really, really hard, probably the best way, like what I did is I start building rental properties portfolio, property by property, been managing it myself. And it created extra income and confidence. Let's say if you generate $300 per property in positive cash flow and you build 5 properties, well, it's $1,500 of income, minimum income that can help you at least like to pay for your gas, and you don't need to work so much to get extra income if you have if you have at least some kind of money coming in. So I see a lot of people first build a rental portfolio or build extra income, and you don't need to buy 5. You can buy a portfolio like 20, 30, 40, 50 homes, and you can raise money if you know how to do that, and meet right people and mentors and ask for help, and then start adding additional income as flipping homes.
We're
And
going to talk more about that, Andrey. And, doesn't he make it sound easy you can buy a portfolio, and from, someone who's just starting, that sounds really big, but I saw you from starting to where you are today. We're going to dig into your book a little bit more. Okay, so first I want to take a poll, and this is to help Andrey and I know who we're talking to here. So I got this quickie poll here I'm going to put up that just asks about what type of real estate investing are you interested in here? And I have this poll up right now. You folks on here can make a quick vote. This will take like 30 seconds, and then we'll see, then we know who we're talking to here. And then the other logistic I want to talk about while you're voting is, if you have questions, then go ahead and put them in the chat box. If there's something Andrey says or I do, then we can, at least address your questions. That's what's cool about, we're live, guys. This isn't just some podcast you're listening to. We are live right here. So look, they are voting, and I'm going to close it off in about 5 seconds, the voting, and then we're going to see who is here, and you'll see the results. They're going to be up. So I'm ending the poll now. And here's the winner. What do we got? Buy and hold people is 67% here. We've got some people just getting started. We got a couple fix and flippers, some house hackers, some burrs, some wholesale, some syndication, and let's see, we got some short-term rentals. Yeah, we got a little bit of everything, but buy and hold, which is he was just talking about that, wasn't he? About get some rentals, and even if it's $300 a month times 5 is $1,500 a month. So what I want to do, Andrey, I'm just so you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about some heavier real estate stuff, and then we are going to get into your book and really the philosophy behind this, because real estate investing takes really a healthy mindset. Wouldn't you agree?
yes.
Because there is a lot of, and anybody who was on here early saw me, I couldn't find Andrey, and I have an assistant here, and I said, okay, you ready to go live in 5 minutes? And he said, yep. I said, okay, because that's plan B. And that's how real estate is. You may think you're on A, and you have to be able to pivot really fast. So first off, I just want to say you're an expert at real estate. You've bought and sold, I don't know how many homes now, but lots, right? Hundreds and hundreds, right?
Probably
Thousands.
we've done maybe 1,500 fix and flips.
Think about that, 1,500 fix and flips. He knows something. So I was reading something you wrote, and you talked about the 5 steps to buy, rehab, and sell properties. And I want to ask you about them. So the first one you said is find money. So what are you going to tell us about how are we going to find money?
Yeah, well, Leanne, I would, even though like I did fix like roughly, and I don't keep me accountable for exact number, but probably 1,500 homes. I like a quote by I like the following quote by Socrates. He said, "I am a wise man because I know how ignorant I am." So I'd like to start off with this because, and also I want to say thank you to the people who joined this podcast, and I'll do my best to be helpful, because every real estate training, every podcast, every seminar, every mastermind group, every meeting is a building block in your career. Because if you can just learn one thing, and most important, not only learn, but implement and take action right away. I like the speed of implementation. You can be better off than a lot of people who don't take effort just showing up. Yeah. So now back to your question. I believe like in order to be successful, you need to find money, find houses, and find great people. So how do you find money? Well, you can show up in different events like this, and you always need to prospect, because as real estate investors, we always have deals. If you have a good deal, you'll find the money. but prospecting and letting other people know what exactly you do. And you should be prepared to make a script, like what exactly you do. Like you provide great returns to people who want like um, fixed returns. So if someone wants to have high returns, but most of the people, what they see, like they want to make 8 to 10% on their money. And especially you're probably not going to be able to raise institutional money because you don't have experience, but your friends and family or angel investors, that will be your crowd, and start having conversation, create a little PowerPoint about who you are, what you do, your past portfolio performance, any testimonials, any mentors that you have, any people you're working with, like your banker, references. So at least like people will see that you have a you prepared and you have some kind of background or experience. If you don't have experience, then you need to have access to people who have experience. And the better your package is, the cheaper money will be. Like, for example, like you can be at 40%, paying 40% interest to hard money guys. They don't really care about your experience. They just asset-based lenders. Or you can get money right now at, I believe, like 3.25. This is our cheapest line of credit with banks. It's a huge difference.
And you know what I'm hearing you say, it's really about the presentation and your experience. And if you don't have experience, align yourself with people who do, and that can be part of what you're selling, your package.
Yeah, and you need to pick up the phone and schedule the meeting. I know a lot of people are uncomfortable to ask them for money, and especially like me, like when they came to the country, like even now, like we have a little $10 million fund, and like wasn't uncomfortable even for me, like for a lot of people, to pick up a phone, and start asking people for money to invest because it's uncomfortable. But if you believe that you have a great product and can provide great returns to your people, even though you're hesitating or afraid or uncomfortable, you have to go and step out of your comfort zone and just do a presentation. And you'll see, like, if it's people who know you, will be easiest way to get started.
You know, that is so true. You just have to start with some, you know, I saw your presentation. You and I talked about it for the $10 million fund. And, you know, yeah, I was honored to listen to it and see what you had, because you've progressed so far. And so I love that. Anybody can find money, but you do have to be polished and put it together. You can't just go asking somebody when you have nothing together.
Yeah, and there is no, I like another quote, there is no elevator to success. You have to use stairs. So like when probably like we had a like meeting maybe a couple months ago, since that we have changed a lot in our presentation because of feedback. You make a presentation to one person and get feedback, improve, get feedback, improve, and at the end you're going to have a completely different results. And it's just numbers game. Some people, I like a formula, SW, 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 SW. It's by my mentor Jack Canfield. He said, some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. So if you can calculate that you're going to close 1 out of 10 people, all you need to do to get your capital is talk to 10 people to close one.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if all 10 say no, then go to number 11. You never know.
Yeah, another probably venue. I don't know the experience and sophistication of people who watching this show. However, like access to credit cards is a really good way. Probably like with credit cards, like you can easily get access to a couple $100,000 of like zero APR for 12 months money. That was a really good starting point for us to jump in and use credit cards. And right now, like we have credit cards with a limit like of $750,000 unsecured debt. And if you have a great credit score, you should definitely learn how to monetize on your credit score to get access to this capital. Because if you
Well,
get,
you know what, Andre, what you're talking about is other people's money. And that's the whole game of real estate, figuring out how to use that and leverage it to make a return.
yeah, I also like the topic of Leanne, seller financing a lot. I think that's my favorite deal because my background being a finance guy and banker, I love zero interest financing deal. You're not going to find a lot of them, but if you know how to structure, that can be a great source of financing. Also, seller financing from guys like who, for example, changing the strategies. For example, I'll give you a specific example. Like we have a rental portfolio, not rental, contract for deed portfolio. And for us, like we want to move on to expand our core business. So like we had a couple guys who were buying a couple houses from us and we give them financing. They didn't have any money, but they had the time and they knew how to manage the properties. So like we have at least like a couple guys who were able to build a portfolio of 20, 30 properties just on my financing with zero of their own money. And I believe like if you start looking around and asking and picking up the phone and calling people, ask them if they will be able to provide seller financing and what their objectives with the portfolio, like you can pick up seller finance deal of 20, 30 properties and really make a decent income out of this.
I totally agree. And I've purchased a bunch of seller financing deals too. And we're back to what he started with. You just have to ask. You really have to work on your own confidence and your presentation. Again, it's asking the right questions. And it's possible. And many times it's a win-win for the seller. I mean, they don't want to pay cap gains or whatever it is. It's a win for everybody. And I know that's how you operate. I know this from training with Andre. You use the term, you're a deal architect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what you're talking about here. It's making it work for everybody involved.
Yeah, that's true. Like you always need to think from standpoint, how can you add value to the person? What kind of problem you can solve? And like I see that here based on the poll, there are a lot of newer guys. So how you guys can get access to capital is first of all, check your credit score and monitor it on a basically daily basis to make sure that you have alerts about your credit score. You can get credit card debt. You can go to local community bank and start building relationship with a banker, not to Wells Fargo or to US Bank, but local community bank. You can talk to people who have portfolios homes and thinking to change their business model. For example, move from residential to commercial or buy another business, and they just don't simply, that's not their priority to squeeze every single dollar from a portfolio. And then using number 4 will be to use private capital and start asking around, probably offer 8 to 10% of personal loan to you from your friends and family. And those people probably like can give you unsecured like $50,000-$100,000 from one person. That was my experience.
Okay, now how do you're a big deal finder. That's a big piece. Your company buys houses, you're finding deals. That's what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is one of the tips over there? Here's what I wrote. You said, if you find good deals, the money will follow.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because if you have a good deal, you can ask people to partner with you. Like we do it all the time. People call us and we have, I don't know, maybe a couple dozen of people. They don't have the money, but they find the deal. So we do partnership. We do split equity splits. We'll finance them. So and you find the deal, like money will follow.
That is good. And then your third point there was building relationships. And I know you're really good at that one.
Well, at least like I have your relationship, so yeah, it's important, like, because if you look at it as a one-time deal, and maybe you can make like all the profit on the first deal, and then there's no opportunity to create. I like what during the negotiation, what I learned at Harvard is you always need to think about how you can create a bigger pie for everyone, because you can have your own like small little deal and there is no opportunity to expand it. But if you think collectively with other party, how you can create a bigger pie so everyone will make, let's say, smaller piece, but from a lot of bigger pie, like, and you're going to have a lot of those. So if you think from that standpoint, how you can create bigger pie and how you can add value to the person, especially if you knew like time is precious. So people, guys who busy, it's really hard to get their time to help you. But if you come to any investor and say, like, let's say to Leanne, hey, Leanne, I have a deal. Can you help me to structure? And you help me to structure the deal and we'll split 50-50. So don't be greedy on the fees. Even if you don't make anything on your first deal, on the second deal, you're going to gain experience. And maybe you also can gain the relationship that can bring you much higher value than just to thinking from short-term standpoint.
I totally agree with that. It's, I'm a veteran in the business, and it's these relationships I've built over the years that continue to tell their friends and family or come back for more deals. That's just how it works. It's referrals. The next one you said is investing in the education. I love that. You said, even if on the first deal you don't make that much money, you got education. You got over the big fear mongrel and you learned something on that deal to be able to do the next one easier.
Yeah, like to be more specific so people can get value. So probably like I'll just share my example. I went to a library and I pretty much read every single book about residential real estate, and there were not. I was surprised that there were not so many books available like on this topic. And then I started listening to podcasts, like probably Bigger Pocket podcast will be a good one. Leanne Riley, like your podcast, the Meetup is a good one. And also pretty much any real estate podcast, I subscribe for all of them because I wanted to learn. And like people who usually go on those podcasts, they have accomplished something. So you can learn from podcasts, you can learn from local RIA groups. We have great group here in Minneapolis, in Milwaukee and Tampa, everywhere there's national RIA, Real Estate Investment Association. So those I think must attend events because you have real people. You meet someone who makes $50,000, $100,000 from the flip and quits the job. That's very, very inspiring because you have a real human who share his experience, and you can build a great relationship this way.
I had Alex speak one time, your partner, at one of my meetups about sort of the fix and flip formula. And just even last year, I ran into a guy he said, what sparked me was that one meetup 5 years ago where Alex was speaking. That's where it clicked in his head. And that's what you're talking about. One person telling their story of how they succeeded. And at that time, I don't know if you guys are doing 30 flips a month or whatever it was. And, that was inspiring because if they can figure out the formula and manage that, then this guy could do something too.
Yeah, I think success is contagious. And you see one person making money, second makes money, like, geez, like I wanna make money like this guy. Like I'm like you see like very similar ordinary people when you have a lot of people who successful and do those deals, you want to be part of this success.
You know, in the education, I see this right behind you on the window. Look at all those books you have right there. Because
Yeah,
I really get that you're a lifelong learner in lots of programs and the books, and you know, even still today, you just went to Harvard for a month, and that's a several year. How long does that? You went last year too, right?
yeah. So my program is a 2-year program. You go there like 3 times during the every 6 months, and spend the months away from your business and live on campus. But I believe like the biggest investment you can make is in your own education. I like the quote by Warren Buffett. He said, "No one can tax it." Right? You learn something, and even you, like no one can tax your knowledge and education. So reading real estate books, going to podcasts, going to different trainings and seminars. Like I don't want to brag about it, but like I think I don't see investment in education as expense. I see as an investment. So I personally a big believer. I've been paying my way up to get access to people, paying from I don't know, like $500 seminar to up to $150,000 seminar, getting access to the people, and probably I spend about maybe $600,000 over 15 years on education. And I believe that even though when sometimes you don't get immediate result right away, but however you build in that small building block in your head, and later on you can adapt. And especially you invest in education, you more committed to take action and to accomplish your goals.
Totally, I'm right with you. And then the last of those 5 steps you had was find a mentor. And a lot of times those seminar people who are teaching them are mentors. You know, you say that one of the biggest favors you can do for yourself is to learn from somebody who has already found success doing what you're trying to learn.
Yeah, I like. I went to a lot of Tony Robbins events, and one of his quotes that I wrote down: "Success leaves clues." So you don't need to come up with new ideas. Find a role model. Role model, someone who is successful in business, someone who is successful with the family, someone who is successful in sport, in every area of your life, and just like copy them. And like so, what I've done personally, I wrote a letter to a mentor, and like you guys can check out Jack Canfield's book. His book is that's my one of my favorite, The Success Principles,
I
and there's
love
a
that
chapter
book.
about membership. So, and he had a letter to a mentor how you can write it. So I type it up and I sent to one guy, and he responded to me. At that moment, like there was no way for me to reach out to the guy, and I was prepared to follow up and be creative, but he responded from a first letter. And he even today, like we have like meetings like every quarter, and he's much more successful than I am. But we keep that relationship just
That
only
is
because he
so
sent a letter to me.
precious. Yeah, very precious. Okay,
And
so
I paid zero to my mentor. I mean, like I want to be helpful and to him, but like he didn't help me to monetize on my success. He helped me because usually successful people, they want to pay back because someone else helped them on their way up.
absolutely. So I want to kind of go back, then that brings us back to the beginning, because you found a mentor way back when you were reading books at the library and trying to learn English, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And that mentor had real estate, right?
correct.
And so, and you know, you just happened onto him accidentally, right?
Well, I think if you become intentional where you want to be, you start looking and you start noticing some things that normal person would not
Yes,
notice. And I think it starts with a question like where you want to be, and decide like what where you really want to be, what do you want to accomplish, and set realistic goals for yourself, like inspiring but realistic. like in terms, like my goal was initially to buy 20 rental properties. I was thinking that when I have 20 rental properties, each rental property brings me $1,000 a month net cash. After it's paid off, I'm going to make $20,000 a month. And that time, that was financial freedom for me, right? Then like a couple years later, like we had the portfolio of 100 properties, and like, wow, that was really great. And then you improve your lifestyle and you can increase your income. But if you really intentional what you want, so if you're watching this right now, maybe you can like just start writing down like 5 things that you want to accomplish before you die, right? Or like your 3 year, how you want to see yourself 3 years from now, financial wise, and put that at least like goals with deadlines where you want to be. And then you start thinking about the plan, how you're going to adapt, reach out to mentors, and getting out of your comfort zone. Because if you don't, if insanity, I like what Einstein said. He said, it's insanity if you keep doing what you've been doing and expecting to have different results. So if you want to have different results, you have to step up, get out of your comfort zone, and do what other people have done already to become successful people.
So can you explain a little bit about what you do today in your home buying business? Because Homestead Road has grown a lot. So you give us a little catch up.
Sure. So at Homestead Road, our vision to be the simplest way to sell a home, the simplest way to sell a home. We provide a service to people who want to sell a house as is without doing any repairs. I cannot take credit for the success of the company because now we have a team of about 77 employees as of
Wow.
today. Across the markets, we have Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and Tampa Bay, Florida. And yeah, we buy about 500 homes a year on fix and flip. And the goal is to expand into new markets, and like 5 year plan to be in 20 markets. That's our vision.
And basically you built the system here and worked out all the kinks. And then you were able to take that system that was like a well-oiled machine to other markets.
Yeah, we generate we're very customer-centric business, and we track our net promoter score. It's 85, but we do a lot of marketing. We do partnerships with a lot of people, like with small real estate investors. They bring deals to us. We buy them directly, or we do partnerships, and we have a lot of direct requests from sellers. So usually before house hits MLS, people call us because we are the simplest way and we have a great reputation in the community. We have about 10% of our business referrals. But like for us, like we have right now financial resources to generate leads, but I believe like when like you can solve a problem or challenge with money or with your time. So if you guys don't have financial resources right now, you can source leads consistently on Craigslist. I estimated that it takes me about 3 hours to generate a hot lead. It can be MLS, Craigslist, and I need to have about 10 deals or 10 leads to close one on my terms, on seller financing terms, or get a discount on the property. So you can estimate your time, how much it costs you to spend every time, or anyone can go online and buy a list of sellers, like out-of-state owners. Especially I see a lot of people here in SFR, single family rentals. You can buy a list from websites like listsource.com, will be an expensive list, and just do direct mail, and you have sellers calling you asking to buy your house. So I believe like you can do a combination between calling people and also let people call you.
I'm glad you said that, because the home buying business, the way your company operates, is a really heavy marketing business. That's because then the leads come to you, and we've all seen the billboards, Feel the Joy.
Yeah, well, we want to have a very positive message, like the simplest way to sell a house, and we have like a little heart on our, our
Yeah.
marketing messages, because we want to treat people really well. But like, you don't need to be a big guy to buy, let's say, 5 properties a year.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, you can be very resourceful by having a effective marketing budget. And I would start with direct mail, go to listsource.com, and I would buy absentee owners list. And you have that's the highest conversion that you possibly can get.
Tell me, what are some of the mistakes that happened along the way because you went from small to really a large business now. What could we learn from?
Mm. The common mistakes will be, so you always need to look for money, because like it's easy to, there are so many great deals that you can easily run out of money. So that's like, I would put emphasis, always ask or be looking and prospecting for money, even though you don't have a deal right now, but you can have in the future. So having enough money, also processing systems. Like, I'm like a lot of entrepreneurs wanted to do everything myself, and then hire first person, and you train that person, and person quits, and you have to start all over. But build processes and training system. There is a great book called Traction EOS. It's
Yes.
a great operational system. It shows you how you can build processes, checklist, your clear objectives, where you wanna, what you wanna accomplish, document your processes. So if a person quits, you already have process in place, so it doesn't really depends on the person. You can put any person in, and if they follow your steps, they can do the work. I also, because I didn't have any money myself, uh, I it took me for a while to have that mentality, because I was doing a lot of MWA, which stands for minimum wage activity, like doing homework and do like bookkeeping myself. And but then I made a calculation that based on the hourly rate, the time that I need to spend on that provides the highest ROI, rate of return, is looking for money and hanging out with people who have money, like building relationships, looking for deals, like attending training seminars, and looking for great people who can be part of your team. That's when you can get the highest rate of return. And everything else, you can hire support, probably with the smallest task, like someone who cleans your house, or someone who does your books, and someone who, like a telemarketer who calls people. You probably can hire on the website upwork.com a virtual assistant who will be doing those minimum wage activities for you.
I want to talk about fear today too, because one of the things you faced a lot of fear as you've grown. I'm sure there was times when you're like, whoa, how do you, what tools do you use? Like, how do you overcome your fears? Because that, I know, shows up in real estate investing, especially getting started. And I remember your pink house story, that first house that you ever bought, had a lot of trouble, right?
Yeah.
But what do you use to overcome your fears? Because I don't care how big your business is, you still come up against that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, I like to demonstrate what real fear is, exercise during my seminars that I'm hopefully to resume after COVID disappears. And fear, and you can write it down, fear is a fantasized experience, a pure real fear. So what it is a lot of time we create a fear in our head, right? And because we don't know, and our brain works that way, that it's uncomfortable. Everything new is uncomfortable. We want to protect ourselves, and we just afraid. We're scared, and like even like to do a first deal. Like you know my story. Like in the first deal, I found the house. I looked through the house. I ran all the numbers, but when I came back home, I was so scared to do my first deal. So I didn't want my seller to accept the offer. I was hoping my offer would never be accepted, so I'll be in my comfort zone again. And it was so scary because when you do first time something, it's very scary. For example, first keys, driving a car for first time, attending college, even like go and meet new people. So you can train yourself how you can be more comfortable, just asking questions and put yourself in uncomfortable situation, like talking to strangers, strike a conversation. It's trainable. So that's what, like, you can overcome your fears by training. But also I don't believe just you can be you shouldn't have fear, because fear is normal, but you have to have risk mitigation plan. Plan A, plan B, plan C. If it doesn't work, okay, what the worst that can happen? You
I
think
love
that
that one. What's the worst that can happen? And when you stop and think, it's usually not that bad.
yeah, so there is a great book by Dale Carnegie. It's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Great book. What the worst that can happen, okay? And then what can you do to mitigate the risk? Because it will be stupid just like to be fearless and just like buy any deal. And no, you have to think, okay, how you can mitigate the risk, who you can ask. I like to ask question like, who do you know, who knows how, that's another great concept from a gentleman named Dan Sullivan, strategic coach.
Yes.
I go to his mastermind group. So he has a book, Who Not How, because you don't need to
Great
know
book.
how to do that. All you need to do is to find who one person who knows how. And that, like, you most of the time, because all the problems in the world been solved before, mostly, like everyone, someone else had the same situation and figure out how to do that. All you need to do is reframe the way you think, from thinking how I'm going to do that to how I'm going to find who knows how to do that.
I love Dan Sullivan, and I've done his work too. And I know you have been in his mentorship program, and that is a great book. And you're right, that's how you mitigate the risk, as long as you know somebody who could figure it out. Like I had one of my coaching students today just got through his very first eviction. And what's really great is, I kept saying, you just got to go through it once here. And of course, he had to hire an attorney because in Minnesota, you can't do your own. And, but it was great. He said, boy, I learned everything. And now the good news is he won't wait as long at the next one. And that will save him money in the end. So you start adding up all those experiences that you guys had fixing and flipping houses. You guys know the numbers like that.
Yeah, but like also like we have different risk mitigation strategies in place. Like, okay, what can go wrong? What if the market goes down by 5%, 10%? So we have a plan in place. We cannot afford to have just oops experience, right? Like, okay, market change, like what do you do now? No, you have to think ahead of time and create those worst case scenarios and how you can prevent those worst case scenario from happening, so you'll be ready when times come.
And I know one of the strategies when you're selling houses, because I see it out there, you know, I see this with sellers, if you priced it wrong, you can't sit there and camp on that camp. You have to then budget but move it a little and see what happens. You have to, like with the market, if the market isn't going to pay X, then what's plan B? Maybe you have to lower it 5,000 and it's not that much and something will happen.
Yeah, like, well, we see it with the market nationwide right now, like with Zillow closing their doors. Well, because like the market had a spike in March, in April, and they've been based their comparables based on spring market, but market has changed already. And what we're seeing right now, like market went down by 10%, and if you cannot adapt and you still sit on inventory,
Right.
holding cost will kill you.
Yeah. And so you learn, I guess what I'm saying is the experience in real estate, you learn to no burying your head in the sand. You have to move to plan B quickly or mitigate those risks, and then you can keep the ball evolving.
Yeah.
Okay, now one other thing I want to say more about your book. You guys, what's cool about Andrey's book, for someone who likes sort of a quick read and more fiction, it's a story that's engaging, so that it's easy to read, and you learn at the same time that you're reading a story. So some people don't like textbooks. This is a story.
Yeah, well, Leon, thank you for bringing up my book. And my reason is we have also foundation that we take some of the proceeds from selling the book. It's not a money maker, but like we want to support the community. But the reason we wrote this book, my partner and I, because we want to empower people, inspire people to have a shift, a mental shift, and build their financial awakening or financial independence through real estate. In this book, like we put, it's like a blueprint, like it's basically based on my and Alex's story, what exactly we've done step by step, but we didn't want to have like a how-to book, but it gives you concepts, and then if you can pretty clear map it out what we've done and just duplicate it, and just do exactly same step process, like build rental portfolio, add flips, or you can also have hard money lending and get your life back. So it's easy read. Like we sold probably, like it's a bestseller on Amazon. We sold probably like 1,500 books so far. Like that's what I learned, that it's hard to sell those books if you don't actively promote them. But we have great reviews, and if you buy one, if you like one, and add a review, I would appreciate that.
Great. And now, let's see, in the book, you also talked about the financial awakening. These are Dan Sullivan's entrepreneurial freedom thing, but it's really the principle you always say. You realized that you wanted to be there for your family. You started out this call with that, and you knew that you had to figure out something other than the 9-to-5 job at the corporate that was going to, have you available to go to the softball game or the whatever, to be there for them. And he talks in there about those 4 freedoms are time, money, relationships, and higher purpose. And so anything you want to share with us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it starts with freedom of time. Because like for me, it's important. I don't want to be the wealthy person in the world, but I want to be a free man. And free man is what it means for me. I don't need to go to work to support my lifestyle. If I want to work hard, I can work hard. If I want to slow down, I can slow down. And this freedom allows you to really think about your life and also spend time with the people who you love and you care. That will be freedom of relationships. So you can spend time with your kids. You can go to that basketball game. And financial freedom is like I said, when you don't have to work to support your lifestyle, but you can accomplish it through rental properties, build a portfolio. You cannot have it will take. So, but when I calculated how much time it will take, how many rental properties I need to buy to support my lifestyle, like was a lot. So I decided to add house flipping income to have a high quality of life. But I don't need to work. I can stop working and still I have enough because I also have a frugal lifestyle. I don't need to work anymore to support my current lifestyle. But you need to build that capital, and everyone has different means. Some people can live on $2,000 a month. Some people need $20,000, or some people need $200,000. And if you have real estate, like no one, you're not a tree, so you can move around the world and live in different countries as well, and where you have a lower cost of living, and you can enjoy your financial freedom there.
I love that. I just want to tell people, if you want to contact Andrey, I am going to put up his information here. This is his email, because he's a busy guy, but just in case, hey, maybe you have a house you want to sell, who knows, or something that you'd like to say, that's how you contact Andrey. And if somebody can put it in the chat for the people here. And then also I have, for myself, if you want to relate to this real estate investing community, I have a Real Estate Investing Made Simple Facebook group, and somebody put the URL in there in the chat for that too. And
yeah, and I wanted to say thank you and acknowledge you and appreciate for sharing your wisdom and expertise, and have this YouTube channel and meetup, because I know how much time it takes and how much mental energy it takes to train people, especially when they have fear, self-imposed block, and like it's so I take my hat off.
thank you, Andrey, because I train those first-time investors. A lot of the people in my coaching program, it's their very first investment. But on the other hand, they can grow really fast when you just need to know the principles, the same thing that you're saying. And when there's someone to hold your hand through it, it really is simpler to get through those fears. And when you're with a community of other people who are also going through that same thing at the same time. So that is really a great thing. And one other thing I want to acknowledge you for, two things I saw just this last week. You got an award for Homestead Road from the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal. Yeah, for the Fast 50 2021. That's the fastest growing. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think we hit this list for the second consecutive year, and like we were also on the Inc. 5000 list for probably like six years or so, like year over year. But again, like it's hard for me to take credit for this accomplishment, because we have a team of people, and that I would credit my team and appreciate them for helping us to grow, because we have a very entrepreneurial organization. And like now when you have less than 50 people, it's easier, but when you have like more than 50, like it's hard, like, and people will make or break your organization.
Oh yeah. And now that you're expanding out too to other markets. One other thing about Homestead Road, they give back, and I want to tell a quickie story. I was invited one time, and we went to the pumpkin patch out there by the Arboretum, and we picked pumpkins. And you know, they do a lot of fun things, Feed My Starving Children, and a lot of give back to the community. And really, it's a fun way for the team to get together away from the office. And I know you always have events like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, we just did our Feed My Starving Children, and we have a Homestead Road Scholarship Foundation. We have actually actual foundation that we donate every year and support our community. And I believe that it's a responsibility of every leader or any real estate investor to give back and start when you're small. because it's much easier to start giving when you make a little bit, so you can have a little donation, because when you go big, the donations will go bigger. But we are blessed to live in such a great country. US is the best country in the world. I'm honored to be here, to be part, to be a citizen, and uh, it's our honor and also responsibility to make sure that we spread the joy, spread the resources, and help other people who have less resources, who are less fortunate, and give back.
That's so cool. Thank you so much. You know what? I got another Andrey story here, and I'm sure you remember this, but at one time, I don't know if it was when you were in Jack Canfield training, you threw an event, and it was I don't remember what it was called, but we were to arrive at the event 10 years in the future. And I distinctly remember that because I was perplexed. You know, it's one thing to have the vision 10 years in the future, but to actually like be that person for the night, that was so intriguing. And I had a French beanie on, and I brought my suitcase, I remember, and I was an author. And I still have my book with the cover I made for that event. I still have that because, you know, my company's called Real Freedom Now, and my book was called Real Freedom Now. And, you know, that was, I'm sure, 10 years ago. And I can really say I have been to Paris. So, but I really loved that event, to actually put yourself in that vision. And I know we share this about manifesting and growing a business. You first have to see it in your head, and then you get there. So you've just come a long way, Andrey, and I thank you for your time and generosity for talking to all of us. We didn't have a lot of questions. I think they were all really listening to your wisdom.
Yeah. To this point, I did the same exercise with Jack Canfield, Leanne, and my vision board was like, I wanted to buy a Maserati first, and like to buy $1 million home, and then later vision boards were like to be healthy, to give back, to have higher purpose, to mentor people, to share the wealth, to have happy family. And like I believe, like when you solve your financial challenges, then you start thinking about higher purpose and how you can impact the community. So for you guys, what you can do, what helped me, is just to create a simple vision board. And vision board, you can go on Google, and it will take maybe like 20 to 30 minutes. And I did the same exercise with my kids, and we do it every year. We go on Google, and I ask them, hey, find a picture what you like in 6 categories, like your health, how you want to look like, your financial, like how much money you want to make, your skills, what you want to learn, family, like your dream bucket, where you want to travel, and then simply copy and paste those pictures in a Word document and print it. And what I've done, I post those pictures everywhere. And like now I'm looking back, and almost everything what I had put on my vision board, now I have it in my life. So I don't know how, but I believe it works because you become intentional. And I'm pretty sure, Leanne, you use vision.
Oh, here's the funny thing. I got one right here on my desk, even right here. It says imagine.
Yeah.
Like I use vision boards all the time. So I love that. You can see we're like-minded, can't you? Andrey and I can go on and on. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you very soon.
All right. Well, Leanne, it was my pleasure. I appreciate everyone who was on this podcast. And one more thing is, if you don't step forward, you're always in the same place. That's the feel the fear and do it anyway. That's a quote by Jack Canfield that I live by.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
All right.
We'll see ya. Bye-bye.